Some children don't just grow older, they grow compressed. Squeezed into emotional spaces far too small for their tender hearts, they become miniature adults before they've had a chance to be children. Emotional parentification is the invisible burden carried by kids who are thrust into caretaking roles long before they're developmentally ready. It's not about normal responsibilities like chores or helping siblings. It's about bearing the psychological weight of adult emotions, mediating family dynamics, and managing complex feelings that should never be a child's to hold. These are the children who intuitively read a room's emotional temperature, who know how to soothe a parent's anxiety before they understand their own. They learn early that their safety depends on being perpetually vigilant, adaptable, and emotionally sophisticated. Alice Miller's groundbreaking work reveals how these children develop extraordinary emotional intelligence, not as a gift, but as a survival strategy. They become experts at anticipating needs, suppressing their own vulnerabilities, and maintaining fragile family systems. But survival is not the same as thriving. And sometimes, the most profound act of healing is recognizing that you were never meant to carry such a heavy emotional load. In every family ecosystem, children develop intricate survival roles, invisible scripts that help them navigate emotional complexity. Some become the hero, perfectly performing to maintain family harmony. Others turn peacemaker, absorbing tension and managing adult emotions before they can fully understand them. John Bradshaw's profound work illuminates how these childhood adaptations are not choices, but sophisticated survival mechanisms. The caretaker child learns to anticipate needs, suppress their own vulnerabilities, and become emotionally hypervigilant. They don't just grow up, they construct elaborate emotional architecture to protect themselves and those they love. These roles might look different: the high-achieving sibling, the silent mediator, the child who carries everyone's unspoken pain, but they share a common thread, a deep, unconscious belief that their worth is measured by their ability to manage family dynamics. What feels like strength in childhood becomes a complex emotional burden in adulthood. These survival strategies, once life-saving, can now limit our ability to receive love, set boundaries, and truly be seen. Your childhood adaptations were not failures. They were brilliant, tender acts of survival. Growing up too fast leaves invisible scars that echo through every relationship, every moment of your adult life. When childhood becomes a landscape of constant emotional labor, your nervous system learns to live in a state of perpetual alert, always watching, always protecting, never truly resting. In Bessel van der Kolk's groundbreaking work exploring trauma, he reveals how early emotional maturity isn't just a personality trait, it's a survival response that rewrites your entire internal architecture. The spontaneity of childhood gets traded for hypervigilance, play replaced by responsibility, wonder exchanged for constant management. This isn't just exhaustion, it's a deep cellular weariness that lives in your bones. You become an expert navigator of complex emotional terrains while simultaneously losing the simple joy of just being a child. Your nervous system learns to function in a state of chronic stress, creating patterns of emotional depletion that can follow you for decades. But here's the tender truth: your early wisdom was not a weakness. It was a profound act of resilience, a heart learning to survive, to protect, to love fiercely in circumstances that demanded more than any child should ever carry. Hyperindependence isn't strength, it's survival. It's a quiet armor built from childhood wounds, where asking for help feels like exposing a dangerous vulnerability. Every task you shouldered alone, every emotion you swallowed, every moment you stepped up when no one else would, these were not badges of honor, but protective shields crafted by a child who learned that self-reliance was the only reliable safety. When the world feels unpredictable, overfunctioning becomes your language. You become the problem solver, the steady one, the person who never needs anything from anyone. But underneath that capable exterior lies a profound exhaustion, a deep, unspoken hunger to be truly seen, truly supported, truly held. The myth of being strong enough is a beautiful lie. True strength isn't about carrying everything alone. It's about recognizing that vulnerability is not weakness, but a courageous act of healing. Your hyperindependence was never a choice. It was a brilliant, adaptive response to a landscape that demanded more than any child should ever have to navigate. People-pleasing isn't a personality flaw. It's a profound survival strategy born from childhood survival. When emotional safety feels fragile, children learn to read rooms like emotional maps, anticipating needs before they're spoken, becoming invisible caretakers of adult feelings. Imagine a child who discovers that their emotional attunement becomes their shield. By carefully monitoring every subtle shift in mood, by becoming what others need them to be, they create a sense of connection that feels like protection. But this protection comes at a devastating cost, losing themselves in the process. The fear of abandonment runs deep. Setting boundaries feels like risking everything, because once it might have meant losing the very connection that kept them emotionally alive. These children learn that their worth is measured by their ability to make others comfortable, to smooth every emotional wrinkle, to be perfect and pleasing. But your worth was never about how well you could manage others' emotions. Your worth is intrinsic, unshakable, a truth waiting to be remembered, not earned through constant performance. Breaking emotional cycles isn't about perfect healing. It's about gentle, courageous recognition. Our relationship patterns are like invisible threads, woven from childhood experiences, passed down through generations of unspoken wounds and survival strategies. When we begin to see these patterns, we're not just observing, we're transforming. Every time you choose compassion over automatic reaction, every moment you pause before responding, you're rewiring neural pathways that have been generations in the making. Healing isn't about blame. It's about understanding how we learn to love, protect, and connect. Our childhood adaptations were brilliant survival mechanisms, intricate protective strategies that kept us safe when we were most vulnerable. Now, we can thank those strategies while gently teaching ourselves new ways of being. Healthy interdependence emerges not from erasing our past, but from witnessing it with profound tenderness. We are learning to hold both our childhood resilience and our current capacity for deeper, more balanced connections, creating a bridge between survival and genuine thriving. Inner child work isn't about regression or dwelling in past pain. It's a courageous journey of reconnection where you gently retrieve the parts of yourself that were forced into silence, survival, and premature adulthood. Imagine your younger self not as a weakness to overcome, but as a profound source of wisdom and resilience. Every protective mechanism, every hypervigilant response, was an extraordinary survival strategy born from deep love and an instinct to protect what matters most. Healing isn't about erasing those strategies, but about listening to them with profound compassion. It means sitting with your younger self, acknowledging the weight they carried, and whispering, "You were so brave. You did everything you could to keep us safe." This work is about integration, not separation. We are learning to hold our childhood wounds with tenderness, to see our younger self not as damaged, but as incredibly strong. We are transforming survival mechanisms into intentional, loving responses that honor our full humanity. Your inner child doesn't need fixing. They need witnessing. They need to know they are seen, held, and eternally loved, exactly as they are. Here's the narration for Section 8. Reclaiming your lost childhood isn't about erasing the past. It's about tenderly reconnecting with the part of you that was never allowed to simply be a child. It means giving yourself permission to be imperfect, to play, to make mistakes without catastrophic consequences. Imagine introducing playfulness into your adult life as a radical act of self-love. Dance spontaneously, color outside the lines, build a blanket fort, laugh without judgment. These moments aren't frivolous, they're healing. They're whispers to your younger self that safety exists, that joy is possible, that you are worthy of lightness. Your inner child doesn't need perfection. She needs presence. She needs to know that the weight she's carried can be gently set down, that her resilience is beautiful, but she doesn't have to be strong all the time. Every moment of playful vulnerability is a love letter to the child who survived, who protected, who endured. Reclaiming isn't forgetting, it's honoring, it's saying you did enough, you were enough, and now you get to rest, you get to play. Your survival strategies were never a weakness, they were brilliant adaptations. A child who learns to navigate complex emotional landscapes isn't broken, they're extraordinarily resilient. You developed incredible emotional intelligence, deep empathy, and strength that most adults never cultivate. Healing isn't about erasing who you became. It's about acknowledging the remarkable ways you protected yourself while gently releasing the weight you've carried. Your journey is nonlinear, with spirals and unexpected turns. Some days will feel like breakthrough, others like backtracking, and all of that is profoundly okay. Transformation begins with radical self-compassion. Understanding that the hypervigilant child inside you was always doing their absolute best. That your coping mechanisms were acts of pure survival, born from love and an incredible capacity to endure. You are not defined by your past survival strategies. You are a complex, evolving human with boundless potential for healing, joy, and authentic connection. Your story isn't about what was taken from you, but about the remarkable person you are becoming, moment by moment, breath by breath.